shoot or branch of an angiosperm with whorls of leaves adapted for sexual reproduction. The flower has 4 basic whorls of leaves, and these whorls of leaves are of 2 types, which are said to be the essential floral whorls, and 2, the non-essential floral whorls. Now the difference between the two is that the essential floral whorls are directly associated with sexual reproduction, that is pollination and fertilization, while the non-essential floral whorls are only indirectly associated with sexual reproduction. The non-essential whorls include the corolla and the calyx. The corolla is a collection of brightly colored leaves that are known as petals, while the calyx are a collection of whorls of leaves that are either greenish, mainly greenish in color in most cases. Now the function of the calyx is that it protects the essential floral parts such as the ovary, while the corolla, which is made of brightly colored leaves called petals, is mainly used in attracting insect pollinators and also in protecting the essential floral parts. The essential floral parts are the male and the female system of the flower. The female system is called the gynosium or pistil. It comprises the stigma, style, and the ovary. These parts, as you can see in the diagram, in the hibiscus flower, these parts include the stigma, which is this, as you can see from the label. Then you have the style, which holds the stigma. Then at the base, just in this calyx, they have the ovary down there. Then the male part, which is the androcium or stamen, is made of 3 basic things as well, which are the anther. The anther is the region, the part of the flower where pollen grains are made. The pollen grains are the structures that contain the gametes of the male gametes of the flower, which are called the generative nuclei. So the anther are held by filaments, and filaments are combined or free, but in most cases they are combined to form the staminal tube. As you can see in the picture, you see these tiny dots, they are the anther. You find them as yellow dots in hibiscus flower, they are the anther. They are held by tiny structures, tiny thread-like structures called filaments, and they combine to form this staminal tube, which is directly above that ovary in the flower. Among the non-essential floral parts, we also have the bracts, such as the episepals and the petiole. The petiole is a stalk that holds the flower to the main plants. Then it can also now we can classify flowers into different types. First of all, we can use the symmetry of the flower, meaning if the flower can be cut into 2 equal halves, and by how many planes, how many lines along which we can cut it to have 2 equal halves. The first, we can say the flowers are asymmetrical. That means we cannot cut the flower to get to equal half. Any flower that cannot be cut in any way to get to equal half is said to be asymmetrical. We'll find that in the canna lily, called canna indica. Then flowers that are symmetrical, meaning can be cut into 2 equal halves, they are of 2 types. The first type is said to be actinomorphic or regular, actinomorphic or regular flowers are flowers that are radially symmetrical, meaning they have more than one plane of symmetry. In the diagram, in the picture, you will see there are about 3 lines in this hibiscus flower. So each of these lines tell the symmetry. If you cut the flower along any of these lines, you have 2 equals. So a flower that has more than one plane of symmetry is said to be radially symmetrical or actinomorphic or regular flowers. We can find them among majority of the flowers like the hibiscus, the impome involucrata, which is morning glory, the impome batatas, which is sweet potato, and so on. Then we also find it in Convallaria majalis, which is said to be the lily of the valley, as you can see in the picture. Then the flower can be said to be zygomorphic if it has only one plane of symmetry, meaning it is bilaterally symmetrical. Such zygomorphic flowers can also be said to be irregular. Regular flowers, like I said before, are actinomorphic or radially symmetrical, while the bilaterally symmetrical or zygomorphic flowers are also said to be irregular. The irregular flowers are found mainly among legumes such as the pea plants, such as the Phaseolus vulgaris, which is beans, Arachis iboji, which is groundnut, the Crotalaria retusa, which is the rattlebox or devil bean, and so on. You can also find it among other legumes such as the Delonis regia, the Butimonospama, which is a flame tree. You can also find it among the Mucuna beneti, which is Mucuna, the Crotalaria, the Clitoria tanati, and so on. And we can see that the flower is either perigynous, epigynous, or hypogynous using the position of the ovary. Now, if you check this flower, you would see that at the base where the petiole, of the flower meets where the stalk meets the main flower, that base is called the thalamus or receptacle. Now, if the receptacle is below the ovary, meaning the ovary, which is the gynosium, is completely above the structures and is therefore free, we would say that the flower is hypogynous, as the corolla and the calyx and other woods originate from below the ovary. We find hypogynous ovaries or hypogynous flowers among common plants like the hibiscus, impome batatas, and so on. Then, if it happens that the basic woods originate from above the ovary, as you can see in the second picture, then we will say the flower is epigynous. Epigynous flowers are found in Musa species such as the Musa sapientum and the Musa paradisiaca, called bananas and plantains. Though bananas and plantains are true fruits, they are true fruit formed from inferior ovaries. So this ovary is said to be inferior because everything is above it. This ovary of hypogynous flowers are said to be superior because it is above the origin of the entire wood, while the epigynous flower is said to have an inferior ovary, as the ovary is below the origin of the woods. Therefore, the woods are above. The word epi means upon, and the word gynous means the ovary, which is the female part here. I said we can also find them in apples and pears. Then, in the case of the third picture, the flower can be said to be perigynous if the woods happens to originate from the middle part of the ovary. That is to say, if the ovary is partially covered by this wool, then we will say it is perigynous. We can find it among the hyacinth and the cypsela fruits such as bitter leaf and tridax. Then a flower can be said to be complete if it has the 4 basic woods, which happens to be the corolla, the it happens to be the corolla, the calyx, the androecium, and the gymnasium. If it has these four parts, then the flower is said to be complete. Like this flower of Abutilon species, which is maple. The Abutilon species happens to be a complete flower because you can see it has the four woods, which is calyx, corolla, androecium, and gymnasium. But if the flower lacks at least one or more of this wool, then it is said to be incomplete, like the acclamadeous flower of Pipo cerebroa, which is the betel, is said to be incomplete. So if the flower lacks at least one of the four wools, then that flower is said to be incomplete. Now, flowers can also be said to be sessile or petulate. Petulate flowers are flowers that have the petal or pedicel attaching it to the main plant, like in the case of the hibiscus. You can see the hibiscus possesses a petal, so the hibiscus flower can be said to be petulate or stalked flower or pedicellate. So if it has it, then it's pedicellate, but if it lacks it, it is said to be a sessile flower. Sessile flowers are found in the trillium species, which such as the trillium grandifolium, as you can see. Then you can also find it in the quail grass called Celosia argentea. Then you can also find it in the Quercus fulcata, which happens to be the hawk plant. And you can find pedicellate among the Delonis regia. Then a flower can be said to be petalous if it has petals, sepalous if it has sepals. But flowers can also be said to be sepaloid. A sepaloid flower is a flower that has both the corolla and calyx greenish in color. So as you can see in the case of the middle picture, such as the Paris quadrifolia, you can see that both the calyx and corolla are greenish in color. Even in the case of the Ocimum gratissimum, commonly known as scent leaf, you can see that both every part of the flower, they are greenish in color. So such flowers are said to be sepaloid. Sepaloid means everything behaves like sepal, while sepalous means it has sepals. So we can see these flowers are sepaloid and sepalous at the same time. But if you look at the flower of the canal indica, the canal indica is petaloid in nature. Why? Because both the calyx and the corolla are brightly colored. When calyx and corolla are brightly colored, then the flower is said to be sepaloid. Like in the case of this Abutilon species, you can see it can also be said to be sepaloid. Why? The calyx or sepal is reddish in color, which is a bright color, helping attracting pollinators as well. Then you see the corolla is also brightly colored. Such flowers are said to be they are said to be petaloid in nature. Then a flower can be said to be acclamadeous, monoclamadeous, or diclamadeous. Acclamadeous flower, the word a means absent. So acclamadeous flowers are flowers that lack both corolla and calyx. If it lacks both corolla and calyx, it is said to be a naked or acclamadeous flower, just as the case of the Piper cerebroa, which is the betel, which happens to have naked flowers. The only thing you see there is just the gymnasium and androecium there. This is a collection of flowers, a group of flowers born on the same stalk, the same stalk, different flowers on the same stick, the same stalk, is said to be an inflorescence of flower. You can see the inflorescence in the betel, and you can see it in the quail. So the two flowers are said to be inflorescence of flowers here. Then why? You can see in the case of the abutilon, a single flower is standing on its own. Such flowers is said to be a solitary flower. But the flower is said to be acclamadeous if it lacks both corolla and calyx. It is said to be monoclamadeous if it has either only corolla or only calyx. Like you can see that the quail flower has only brightly colored leaves, no green ones, meaning they don't have sepals, so they are monochlamydious. But if it has the two, corolla and calyx, then it's said to be dichlamydious. Then the flower at the same time can be said to be clistogamous if it at maturity it covers its androecium and gynoecium, so they are kept close at all times. It is said to be clistogamous, but if it opens to expose the gynoecium and androecium when mature, it is said to be chasmogamous. So we find clistogamous flowers among peas, such as the Crotolera retuca, which is a rattle box or devil bean. Then you also find it in the Clitoria taneti, which is the butterfly pea. This That's a blue picture there. Then you can also find it in beans. The bean or peanut plant has area flowers and underground flowers that are both clistogamous in nature. Then you can find chasmogamous flowers among hibiscus, the Delonis regia, and others. Then the flower can also be said to be entomophilous. Entomophilous flowers are flowers that are pollinated by insects. Such flowers have few pollen grains combined to the wind pollinated ones. Few pollen grains that are heavy, sticky, with rough surfaces, as you can see in this picture. Rough surfaces that are sticky, they are heavy, and they are sometimes spinous, rough surfaces which help them to sting to the body of the insects, as you can see in this picture of the pollens attached to the body of the pollinator, then accidentally, unknown to the pollinator, when they get to the surface of when they get close to the stigma, then the pollen grains are transferred unknowingly. So such flowers have brightly colored petals and they produce scent. And their pollen grains, I said, are sticky. Then their stigma are relatively smaller than those of wind pollinated flowers, but has also a sticky surface. Now, in the case of the clistogamous flowers, such as the flowers of the pea plants, they have keel. The keel actually covers their gynoecium and androecium. So anytime a pollinator is to access this pollen or nectar, it will have to depress the keel. So the pollinator drops on the keel, lands on the keel, suppressing it and separating it from the standard, which is the main wool of the flower. So by doing that, the pollinator can access the flower. So the pollinator must depress the keel for it to access the pollens. Then the flowers that are pollinated by wind are said to be anemophilous. Anemophilous flowers are flowers that are wind loving. They are pollinated by wind. So their pollen grains are numerous, many, sticky, light, and easily transported by wind, easily dispersed by wind. While the stigma of the flowers are feathery in nature, sticky, and these flowers do not produce nectar or scent. You can find them among grasses such as corn, sugarcane, and so on. The flower is said to be monadelphous if it has a single staminal tube formed from the union or fusion of different filaments, like in the cases of Abemuscius esculenta coriacea, uh, Hibiscus sinensis, which is a hibiscus flower, Impome batatas, sweet potato, and Impome involucrata. The flower can be said to be diadephous if it has two different staminal tubes, like in the case of peas. The flowers of peas, such as Clitoria tanati, as you can see in the picture, has two different filaments, two different stamina tube, a large stamina tube formed from the fusion of 9 different filaments, and a small stamina tube formed from a single filament standing separately. Then the flower can be said to be polyadelphous if it has more than 2 staminal tubes, like in the case of citrus species. In the citrus species, the filaments are separate from their base to the tip, forming different staminal tubes. Such flowers are said to be polydelphous. We can find it among all citrus plants such as the citrus sinensis, sweet orange, citrus limon, which is lemon, citrus paradise, which is grape, citrus auretifolia, which is sour lime, and citrus maximum, which is pomelo, citrus reticulata, and so incomplete flowers that lack either gynecium or androecium, meaning such flowers possess only one of the two reproductive structures. Such flowers are said to be unisexual flowers, while flowers that have both the gynecium and androecium, they are said to be bisexual or hermaphroditic flowers. So it's obvious that unisexual flowers are incomplete because they lack either gynecium or androecium. So we can find this among um, plants like carica papaya, and you can find them among the zimis. So the maize flower has two sets of flowers. The main plant has two sets of flowers, one at the top of the plant, which is made of only male flowers. Such flowers that are made of only androecium are said to be staminate, while those that are made of only gynecium or pistil are said to be pistillate flowers. Now, in the case of corn, the flowers are in groups called inflorescence. So the inflorescence at the top of the corn or maize plant is the staminate inflorescence, while the one at the side of the plant is the pistillate flowers. So these pistillate flowers, when pollinated by wind, they produce the fruits, which are the grains, the caryopsis grains, which happens to be the corn fruit. So these flowers are said to be unisexual, pistillate, and unisexual staminate flowers.